Hi everyone, this is Evelyn Puerto, and I'm back with another weekly writing update. I think I told you that I finished the second draft of The Girl Who Broke the Dark, so I am letting that sit and percolate just a little bit. And I've started writing the first draft of The Girl Who Wrote on Water. At least that's what I'm calling the sequel for now. In other news, on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be a guest on the VloggingPod Podcast, and I will put a link in the description if you want to tune into the episode. And that's really all the news this week, so I will jump right into reading the next part of Flight of the Spark. We're up to chapter 2, and I'll just read the first few pages. Here we go. A few hours later, Iskra tugged on Tavda's hand. "Hurry up! I don't want to miss the caravan." She pointed to the sun, now past its high point and starting to descend. "What's the rush? Say, there's a woman selling pasties. Maybe she has the ones with cabbage. Do you think she might have cookies, too?" "Tavda, we ate with your sister. You can't be hungry." "When did you last eat a pasty? It won't take long." With a sigh, Iskra gave in to Tavda's insistence. The aroma of fresh pasty was too good to ignore. They stepped around some puddles, pushing through the crowd of people strolling along the lane. The girls each put 2 small bronze coins called sheaves in the pasty seller's rough hand and chose crescent-shaped pasties stuffed with cabbage, still warm from the oven. "Aren't you glad we stopped?" Tavda asked. "Sure am." Shinru's market had lots that Gishin's didn't, pasties and cookies and iron candle holders instead of the earthenware ones sold in Gishin. Iskra assumed it was because Shinru had twice as many people as Gishin and was a little less remote. What was the same were the clothes the villagers wore, everyone except traders and guardsmen, all in drab gray, plain and shapeless, everyone alike. Tavda finished chewing her last bite of pasty. "I don't see why you don't spend the night and go back tomorrow." "You know I didn't get permission from Kaberko. Besides, I don't think your sister would like it." "Oh, she loves company." Iskra smiled to herself. Maybe Tavda's sister did, but probably not her husband. "Sure about that, Tavda?" "Oh, yes," she laughed, then shrugged. "Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't care." The raucous horn signaling the caravan's imminent departure sounded, preventing Iskra from retorting. "Let's see who has to wait for who." Tavda jerked away from Iskra and ran toward the town square. Iskra shoved the rest of her pasty into her mouth and followed close behind. They sped past a woman selling pottery and plates, men carrying trays of bread and sacks of coarse flour, and dodged children playing games and dogs in search of food. "Watch where you're going," one man yelled at Tavda after she jostled him off balance. She kept running and crashed into a pyramid of potatoes piled high on the front shelf of a stall, knocking most of them into the mud. "Now see what you've done, careless girl. No sense of safety." The woman selling the potatoes grabbed Tavda by the neck of her dress and gave her a shake. "You've ruined my display." "We're sorry," Iskra said. "We'll pick them up." She set her basket down and waved for Tavda to do the same. Then she began collecting potatoes, piling them into her apron. "Those are her potatoes, Iskra. Let her take care of them." "But it was our fault. Don't you think it's only fair we help?" "You're the one so worried about being late." "We'll be done faster if you help." She stood and stacked potatoes on the rough table. "You're doing it wrong," the old woman waved a bony finger at the pile. "Big ones on the bottom." The woman tugged at the orange band on her shoulder, as if to emphasize her status as a market vendor who knew her job. Iskra bit her lip. "Here, why don't you stack while I pick up the rest?" She ignored the old woman's grumbling and scurried to gather the rest of the potatoes. Tavda wandered a few stalls down. Iskra wished she would help, but knew it wasn't worth arguing about. She dumped the rest of the potatoes into an open sack next to the woman's table. "I'm so sorry. I have to go." She grabbed her basket and ran after Tavda. "Come on." Iskra tugged at her friend's arm. "Now I'm really late." She peered nervously at the sun, now well past the high point in the sky and half shrouded in dark clouds. "Look, plums!" "Great. You can get them later." "What are you talking about? This time of year, you're lucky to see anything but wrinkled apples. If I don't get them now, they'll be gone before I get back." She shook her head at Iskra. "What are you worried about? The second horn hasn't sounded yet." She haggled for 3 tiny plums. Iskra paced outside the stall, glancing nervously at the sun, struggling to keep her breathing steady. As soon as Tavda handed over her sheaves and put the fruit in her basket, Iskra seized her hand. "Come on." The girls sprinted past the last row of market stalls into the square. No line of wagons. They sped over the stone pavement and past the monument to fairness that stood in the center of the square, this tall statue of a man holding a pair of scales. They dashed up to the main trader's post and found the clerk locking the weather-beaten door. "Where's the caravan for Gishin?" Iskra asked. "Left quarter of an hour ago. Didn't you hear the horns?" "We only heard one." "Don't know what to tell you. We sounded all three. It's gone." "Do you think she could catch it?" Tavda sounded like she thought running after it was a good idea. "If she ran after it? Maybe. But it would be worth my job if I let her. A girl running down the road? No." He shook his head. "Against the rules, you know." Iskra stared at him. "But I need to get home tonight." She swallowed hard, gulping back the panic that rose in her throat. "I'll be in so much trouble." Koberko had always been kind to her, but to stay overnight in Shinru without permission? What would he say? And her mother. Iskra closed her eyes, cringing at the thought of her mother's wrath. "Don't think you'll make it." Iskra stared at the man. "What do I do? I can't break the rules." The man shrugged. "You can hang around here, see if any other traders come by. You might be able to hire a ride." Iskra didn't like the sound of that. "I'm going for my dinner. I'll ask at the inn, all right? You stay here and wait." Iskra nodded and sat down on the stoop outside the trader's post. Tavda sat down with her. "What are you worried about? If you can't get home tonight, you can't. Koberko will understand." "He might. Maybe." "He'll be so disappointed in me. But my mother?" Iskra squeezed her eyes shut, trying to blot out the thought of Luza's anger. She put her head down on her knees so Tavda couldn't see her tears. Iskra listened to the dripping of the water clock mark off half an hour, then another quarter. Her restlessness increased with every drip, and she struggled to keep herself calm. She idly untied the yellow-green ribbon on the hand of her basket and retied it, working out some of her nervous energy in the mindless task. Time drags faster than a rock erodes. At least Tavda had stopped pestering her and was flirting with the baker's apprentice, who wiped a dusting of flour off his face with one graceful flick of her hand. That left Iskra free to sit and speculate about the punishment for people who left the village overnight without permission. She bounced her foot against the stoop, wishing the clerk would come back with some good news that would save her from the consequences of missing the caravan. A shout startled her from her gloomy reverie. "Hey, where's the caravan?" Iskra looked up and saw a short, fat, dark-skinned man wearing the brown clothes of a trader sitting in a wagon loaded with 2 elk carcasses. "Gone." Tavda pointed toward the village gates. "Think I can catch them?" "They left a while ago," Iskra said. "Can you take my friend with you?" Tavda asked. Iskra shook her head, attempting to get Tavda to stop. "Not a good idea," the trader answered. "If we're attacked, I can't protect you. It wouldn't be safe." "But you'll catch up with the caravan," Tavda said. "It's still early. The bandits won't attack before dark." "I don't know." He frowned and shook his head. "She really does need to get home tonight." "If you're sure." The trader gestured to the seat next to him. Iskra bit the inside of her cheek. "I don't know. What if we don't catch up? Then we'll have to go the whole way alone. That wouldn't be safe." Her heart pounded and her breath came faster. "If you hurry, I'm sure you'll be fine," Tavda said. "But is it safe?" Tavda took Iskra's basket from her and handed it up to the trader. "Yes, of course. What could possibly happen? They're barely half an hour ahead of you. Well, maybe a little more." Iskra shook her head at Tavda's overly optimistic estimate. Easy for her to talk. She gave Tavda a quick hug and climbed to the seat next to the trader. The trader slapped the reins against the horse's sides. "Get up!" Iskra blew out a deep breath at the sight of the clouds moving in, dimming the sunlight. Everyone knew bandits love to attack lone wagons. Before she'd had a chance to protest, here she was, riding on one. And that's the end of the first part of Chapter 2. Come back next week for more. Thanks for stopping by.